Hello and welcome to this module, which is the Ideas Canvas module in the Getting Started framework. When to use this? This is a good idea to use this when you want to just clarify your ideas and get a good idea of the next steps. You can also send this Ideas Canvas to people in your team to get them thinking about it, or people in your business. There is a link to the public. This is available on our YouTube site, and there's a link to that video in the resources section of this course. So feel free to send this to people to get them thinking around automation opportunities in their business unit as well. So it's really this sort of clarity of thought is what the Ideas Canvas is about. You'll need a pen and paper for this, a pen and an A4 sheet of paper, and this is really exciting because for me this is where the rubber hits the road of automation work or of solution design work. First you have to clarify your ideas and get some good examples going before you can then take these and have a strategy before you can take these out to other people and articulate the ideas. So this is really useful for that. On the sheet of paper, turn it landscape and split it into 4 quadrants like this. And in the top left-hand quadrant, just write the word ideas. And what we want to do here is think about what you know that automation technology can do. Now, if you need a refresher on that, we have a 40-minute video that is a demo of what automation can do. Again, that will be in the resources section or in the comments section of this video if you are watching on YouTube. And in that video, so when you're watching those videos or attending the training or just what you know about automation, you'll have some ideas already percolating around what you can do with this. To help you, I'll give you some guidance on what makes a good automation use case. If I was to sum it up in one word, what makes a good use case? It's boring. Now, this is often counterintuitive because we look at what the tech can do and we think, wow, it can do all this cool stuff, but actually the most value is in the boring stuff. So we need to be thinking about what's the most boring stuff that we can automate. And what boring means, what the characteristics are of that, is it's a standard step-by-step process that's well understood and consistently executed. A good example is we've worked with clients that have standard operating procedures that they might hire a new worker for an admin team, and there's already a heap of documentation of how to do stuff like click this, open this, extract that, this kind of stuff. So if the process is well understood and consistently executed, that's a great use case. Is it run regularly, so on a trigger or on a particular schedule? Is it predictable? So are the outcomes clear with simple judgment calls? So if this, then that. If the purchase order amount is above a certain number, it goes this way. If it's below a certain number, it goes another way. So simple judgment calls. Do humans introduce errors? If a task is done out of sequence, does that cause rework? How often does it go wrong? These kind of stats are good to when you're thinking about automation use cases. Also in the error area, if an error happens, is the risk of the consequences of that error, is it disproportionate to that error? Like a large business impact. So there might be compliance issues or mission critical, like no fail importance here. A good example is lab results for a wastewater company. We chatted to them around their processes, and if there's any adverse results detected, then they need to tell their clients within 24 hours. That's a regulatory requirement. So if a human misses that, then obviously huge consequences beyond the simple case of a human just missing a particular thing. Ignore that sharing comments. So jot 5 or 6 ideas in the top of the ideas. Pause the video if you like to jot those ideas down, and then we'll move on to the next quadrant. So the top right quadrant. moving on to the next quadrant. Of those 3 ideas, have a look at them, and if you've written 2 or 3, fantastic. If you've written more than 2 or 3, maybe just put a star next to the 2 or 3 that really pop, that are ones that are like, yeah, these are the ones that are going to add the most value. Because now we're going to look at the benefits of automating these tasks, and list those here. Now, what benefits can we realize? If I was something one word, I would say time. Time is the biggest benefit that can be realized. All other things sort of fall away when you think about the time component. We're constantly being asked to do more with less, and automation allows us to do that. Let's think around the benefits. So that time component can be measured. You can measure it in hours and in dollars. And we've got a tool, the ROI calculator, later on in this course that will help you calculate those numbers. We've also got the improving of quality through error reduction. All right, so this risk management thing and the sequencing of tasks is always in the same order. The machine's going to do it diligently, consistently, so that the quality is improved. By focusing on these mission critical processes, let's think of the wastewater company again. By focusing on that particular process of how that work gets done, the strong recommendation is to do some process redesign. So analyze, eliminate, simplify, and then automate. So if you go through that process, just by automating it, you are doing some streamlining and process redesign, which is incredibly valuable output of automating some work. You also improve employee experience and morale. They get to focus on higher order tasks. They get to unlock potential inside themselves. They get to work with this kind of tech if they're interested. And you know, the market is moving towards this, and it's time for employees to realize this. And the change needs to be managed skillfully, absolutely. But the end outcome is an improved employee experience. I really can't see how copy pasting data between applications feels valuable, and that there are higher order tasks that need to be completed in organizations, and this can move companies or teams in that direction. There's also this concept of new value models, and this really is a big catch-all here. It's a hard to articulate phrase, but I can illustrate it with a couple of examples. The first example is, if I illustrate with a couple of examples, imagine there's a IT department in a corporate organization. And part of their service to the corporate organization is that every morning we have a member of the IT team that logs in and does a system checklist. So they might search for a document in the document management system, they might send a message on Teams, they might do various tasks just to make sure the systems are up and running. They're also doing things like when they're doing the document management test, they're doing a search across the document management system, and they're recording how many seconds it takes for a document to come back, a particular document, and they're measuring that to see whether performance is degrading over time, so they can be proactive in service. This happens. We've got clients that do this kind of work that have this checklist in the morning. Now, a human doing that, let's just back of the napkin do some calculations in terms of benefit in time and hours, in terms of cost. So if it takes, say with overtime, they have to do it 360 days a year, including weekends and some holidays. So let's say it costs on average $60 for every time that a member of the IT team has to do this particular task, and it takes them 40 minutes. If it's that amount of time, if that's that amount of dollars, then back of the napkin, that's around $20,000 a year in cost to do this checklist every morning for 360 days a year. Now, we can automate a robot to do that, and that will cost $4,000 a year. So instantly, there is this benefit in time and dollars. But there's a new value model benefit here, because once you've got the bot doing the work, if you've got a person doing the work, then Bob has to do the work in the morning, and then he's got other stuff to do, right? So he's got to do the checklist and then go off and do some work. The bot is dedicated to just this task. So number one, the frequency is, you can increase the frequency of that, which adds new value that isn't available to the human. So the bot can do it every hour, if you like. It's just there doing it every hour. It's its job. It's just there doing it. If it reaches an error, it can alert a human. But the frequency part is a new value model. How I'd describe a new value model benefit. Another benefit of this is in the quality of the work. So when Bob does, if we look at the example of doing the search for a document, right, and then logging how long that takes in seconds to come back. When Bob does that test, he might type the word, he might start the clock, type the wording, press search, and then wait for the document to appear in the search, then press stop, and he might record 6 seconds. When Jane does it, Jane might search, press the button, then start the timer, then stop when the document appears, and she might get 4 seconds. So there's a bit of inconsistency in how humans do things with that particular capturing of that metric. Now the bot, you can tell it to start the timer at a very specific point. Say, as soon as you've pressed this button, bot, then you start the timer. And as soon as you see this pixel returned, then you stop the timer. And that quality of that metric, it's happening the same way every single time, and that metric is a lot better than a human doing it. So there's this quality of output part to that as well. So they're two examples of this new value models that's hard to articulate. There's another one which is client related. So you can do things like monitor a website for changes. So what you could do is say, I want to check this website for price change in this particular product. So I'm going to have the bot check that and then let me know when that product changes, that price changes, so we can then adjust our pricing strategy as well. So you can get the bot doing things like that, certain market research that humans can do, but it's so tedious to do that it's hard to actually get humans to do that. So there's my thoughts on that new value models benefit. So by now you should have this list up here of the benefits listed there in this bottom left hand corner. So you've got the ideas, and you're part of our community. You're on this course. You're having great ideas. I'm absolutely certain of that. And you can realise that you've seen the benefits that could potentially be realised. But what's in the way? What is stopping you implementing those ideas or realising those benefits? Again, I recommend that you pause the video here and have a think. And then I'm going to give you some ideas after that. So pause the video and then come back. Welcome back. So what's in the way? So you should have 4 or 5 things listed on what's in the way there. What we find is that what's in the way is they coalesce around these 3 things. It's a lack of resources. That could be team skills or time. There's a lack of tech awareness. People just don't know what the tech can do, or there's no strategy in place. Just to unpack those a little bit further, no team skills or time. You might have things in your list that are, training. We need more training. We need more skills. We need people to just do it for us. Or we need, your team needs hands-on experience before they can actually get things going. Now, obviously, this community is focused around that. So the Fab Academy and all of the work that we put in, it's around this particular part here. We can do work for you, we can do work with you, we can train you and mentor you, and that's really what this community is about. There's other things around lack of tech awareness. And these can start getting a little bit different around attitudes to things. So lack of tech awareness could be around the capabilities of the technology. People just don't know what this stuff can do nowadays. Again, we've got videos for this that you can share with people and courses that they can do on this site that will help with that tech awareness. But there's also an attitudinal thing that starts to come in here. Just no curiosity about it. This is how we do things and we're just not curious about it. How do we inspire that curiosity? And then there's complacency. Actually, you know what? My job is totally safe, when really the reality is that many jobs are at risk of some form of automation in them. I highly recommend, we've got a video in this portal and on YouTube that is called The 5 Myths, The 5 Myths of Automation. I highly recommend that you send that or watch that with people that have this sort of mindset. And the third one is around a no strategy. This could be simply a procedural thing. They've not looked at return on investment, so they just don't know that there's actually investment there that can be realized, or returns that can be realized. There's also this thing around people management and change management. You might have that on your list. You know, people are potentially affected by automation. Jobs may go, jobs may change, and that is in the too hard basket for most organizations. Those that are addressing it, they're going to have a huge competitive advantage moving forward in the next few years. So this people thing, if it's on your list, how can you strategize to change that in your organization? And then finally, they just don't know where to start. And really that's what these videos in the Getting Started framework is all about, where to start. So the strategy around that. So this is what we tend to find is in the way. They coalesce around these three things. Have a pause of the video now and see if if yours match to these in some sort of way. If you have ones that don't match to this, I'd love to hear them. I love this sort of market research kind of thing. You can click the purple ask bubble to get in touch with us and just log a ticket so that we're aware of this thing. I'd love to hear it. So that's the blocks. They're the blocks. The final quadrant. This is the most important quadrant of the whole thing. So you've done this thinking around these areas, the ideas, the benefits, and what's in the way. This next one is who. Who do you need to speak to next? So have a look at your canvas, and it could be you need to speak to, maybe one of your ideas relates around the finance team. Maybe you need to speak to the finance director to talk about your idea and to validate the benefits. Maybe one of the blocks is that change management people thing. Who is it that you can talk to in your organization? Maybe someone from HR, maybe your CEO. Who do you need to speak to around just surfacing that as an issue and showing them some of this tech and what it can do? So who is the final quadrant? Pause the video. Put your who in there of who you need to speak to. It could be us. You could need to speak to us. And if you want to speak to us, of course, log a call with us. That's totally fine. So, yep, pause the video and have a think around who. So that's the ideas canvas. You've got the framework there, all on an A4 sheet of paper, and you've got a little strategy there of how to move forward with your automation work. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next module.